Good evening and welcome. I'm Father Mike Ng, the president of the Santa Clara University, and I'm very pleased to see so many of you here for this new season of the President's Lecture Series. This is season number 9, and so you are helping us launch an all-star season with an all-star tonight, 2 all-stars tonight, actually. I am here to welcome those of you that are here also for the grand reunion. We're really pleased that our alumni are coming back this weekend, and you can join us. And members of our Board of Regents, especially here in the audience, we're glad to have you here for this special event. Jerry Smith will be facilitating our presentation this evening. He'll be in conversation with Ronnie Lott tonight. Jerry is Santa Clara's women's soccer coach. He's been with us 27 seasons. He's starting his 28th season. In many of those years, Jerry's teams appeared in the NCAA final tournament. And in one of those years, Jerry coached the women to a national championship. All athletics play a huge role in the education of our students, education of the whole person. So there's no better embodiment of that concept than Jerry Smith. Today, Jerry launched his new Coaching for Life Academy here at Santa Clara. The mission of this Coaching for Life Academy is to help coaches, parents, and athletes to achieve success in life through thoughtful development of self-esteem, leadership, and healthy habits of heart and mind. So, Jerry Smith, please welcome him. Thank you.
Thank you and welcome. I'm honored to be here. We launched the Jerry Smith Coaching for Life Academy just today, and I'm really excited about what that'll do. And I'm excited to be on the stage here with Ronnie Lott. I can't believe it, a hero of mine. I'm nervous. I'm nervous with being here with Ronnie. Ronnie graduated from USC in 1981 with a degree in public administration. During his years at USC, he helped the team to a share of the 1978 national championship and played in the 79 and 80 Rose Bowls. Lott was a unanimous All-American team captain in 1980. In 2002, he was inducted as one of 15 new members of the College Hall of Fame. He was also a 1995 inductee into the USC Hall of Fame. After college, Lott was drafted by the San Francisco 49ers in the first round. The level of skill demonstrated by the 6-foot, 200-pound standout was instantly recognized, and from the very beginning of training camp, he had the job of the 49ers starting left cornerback. In his first season, he recorded 7 interceptions, helped the 49ers to win the Super Bowl, the 16th Super Bowl, and also became only the second rookie in NFL history to return 3 interceptions for touchdowns. His outstanding play resulted in his finishing second in the Rookie of the Year honors behind New York Giants linebacker Lawrence Taylor. Lott switched to safety position in 1985. He had the tip of his left pinky finger amputated in 1985 when it was crushed by tackling running back Timmy Newsome. The bone graft surgery would have kept him out of the 86 season, or at the beginning of the 86 season, so Ronnie decided that he'd just have it cut off. 1986, he ended the season 2 games short of the final season due to injury, but still had a league best 10 interceptions that season while recording 77 tackles and 3 forced fumbles. Lott helped to win 8 division titles and 4 Super Bowls for the 49ers. He's one of 5 players that were on all 4 of the 1980 49er Super Bowl wins, along with Joe Montana, Keena Turner, Eric Wright, and receiver Mike Wilson. After his career with the San Francisco 49ers, Lott went to the Raiders and then to the New York Jets. In 1991, he led the league in interceptions with 8 for a second time in his career. He was elected to the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2000 in his first year of eligibility and was named to the NFL's 75th anniversary team. He was named All-Pro 8 times, All-NFC 6 times, All-AFC once. Beyond statistics, Lott had an uncanny awareness of how to play and was helping to develop the younger players on the team. He had an uncanny ability to break up passes and hit with the hardest of any of the defensive backs to ever play in the NFL. USA Today praised Ronnie as one of the most successful athletes at making the transition into business. Along with former teammates Harris Barton, Joe Montana, Lott was a managing partner and founder of HRJ Capital. Lott also owns both Toyota and Mercedes-Benz car dealerships and opened World Sports Cafe in Fresno, California. He also advises professional athletes who are making a transition to the business world. Lott is also the father of former Tampa Bay Buccaneer linebacker Ryan Neese, who Ronnie just told me just got engaged. Ronnie lives in Cupertino with his 3 children, Haley, Isaiah, and Chloe, who is a student here at Santa Clara University. In 1991, Lott, along with Jill Leiber, wrote Lott's autobiography, Total Impact. Lott inspired the Lott Impact Trophy, which is given annually by the Pacific Club Impact Foundation of college football to college football's Defensive Impact Player of the Year, honoring college football's defensive best in character and performance. 25 years ago, Ronnie founded a nonprofit, All Stars for Kids, and I know he's very proud of that, where he's still chairman, and raises a lot of money for that foundation and seed money for nonprofits around the Bay Area. As big as Ronnie was as a football player and on the field, he's even bigger and having a bigger influence in his life after professional football. Please welcome number 42, Ronnie Lott.
Thank you. Thank you.
So Ronnie, to start us off, you certainly are one of my heroes and a hero to many of the people in the audience and anyone who knows anything about football and anyone that knows about helping communities. Who are some of your heroes?
Who are some of my heroes? I got to start off with my dad. I mean, my dad is an incredible hero. And, you know, the great thing about my dad is that there are things that he stands for and things that he believes in. And I think one of the great things for me is, you know, how do you exhaust life? And then what's this thing about, you know, having respect and getting respect? And, you know, to me, those type of attributes of understanding that when somebody comes to your funeral, they're coming to pay their respects. It's an incredible way of looking at life. You know, my family, were thinking about the dash recently, and when you look at the dash in your life, what does it mean? Well, you have to have respect, and then of course he would say that you have to exhaust life. But my dad's a hero. Obviously, you know, there are great coaches that I've been associated with. Bill Walsh, you know, of course, would be right there. John Robinson, a number of people that are heroes. I mean, some of the folks that are in this audience. My wife is my hero. So yeah, there are a lot of heroes that I look up to, and I'm always constantly trying to find out what makes them special, what makes them tick, and what do they bring each and every day that allows them to be a hero, because that's hard being a hero. It is very difficult to carry that mantle.
In Coach Walsh, he was known as an offensive genius, and I think you know, the 49er defenses of the Super Bowls were certainly played as big a role, if not a bigger role, than the offense. How was it being a part of a defense when you had a head coach that was an offensive genius?
It was great. I mean, you know, the thing that you got to think about, and you know this as a coach, everybody has a skill that they accentuate, right? And if you think of Bill and the things that he brought to the table, he was phenomenal in terms of game plan. He was phenomenal in terms of understanding how to get people in certain positions. But what he really was great at is that he was great at picking people. And he was great at identifying talent. And he was great at really building a team. And one of the things that I loved about him was you would pull him aside, and every once in a while you would talk to him about, well, why did you take that guy and didn't take another more talented guy? And Bill would say, Ronnie, don't you understand that that guy from Stanford knows how to fit in? And I would say, well, what do you mean by that? And he's like, he's not gonna be a player that's gonna be on the sidelines upset that he's not getting playing time, that he's gonna be an asset to the organization. And so you would sit there and you would hear these stories, and yet we all believe that talent, and all of us in this room, we all believe talent trumps everything, and yet I think character trumps talent sometimes. And he will tell you that it meant a lot to him to have guys who had character on the sideline, and because they were going to play an incredible role at some point in the game.
Ronnie, I think the audience would love to know what football has taught you about life.
Well, I would say that my quarterback, my wife and my kids, it teaches you how to get along. It teaches you how to understand how to serve another human being. I think one of the great lessons in life is that all of us in this room, at some point, we're really an athlete. At some point, if you really believe it, I was talking to one of the ladies here, and she brought a picture of her kids when they were really young, and she was telling me the story about the kid sitting on my lap, and she pulled out the picture. And she said, do you remember this picture? And I said, yeah, right. But the thing that I thought was more important about the conversation was her thoughts about what the 49ers meant to her. And she's a teammate, and she's a fan, and she roots as hard as anyone out there about being a part of an incredible family. And so you have to have teammates like that to do your job and to be successful at it. And people that care like that is what I think makes sports so special. And I used to come here, guys, when I was, I think, 21 years old, and I used to go watch the basketball team, and I would sneak up in the back and I would sit there and watch Coach Williams coach. And I identified early on that what a great teammate you have to be, just watching him work with some of my friends, Bill Duffy and Harold Keeling and some of the other guys that were on that team, Nick Vanos and Scotty Lamson. And so I became teammates of theirs, and started learning how to play basketball with those guys. But great teammates are people who care, who give a lot of themselves each and every day.
Did you, in addition to playing football at USC, did you play basketball?
I played 1 year of basketball. And I had a bucket list moment. You won't believe it. This is a great moment for me, and I haven't shared this with anybody, but
good.
I grew up as a Bruin fan. And I was sitting there, in Poly Pavilion, and they put me in the game. And I'm playing at Poly Pavilion, John Wooden, and it was like a reality TV show, man. And so I'm playing, and I'm having a great time. I'm just bouncing all over the place. I steal the ball. I got a breakaway layup. I go up, and I jump so high that I don't know what to do. I don't know if I should dunk it or lay it off the backboard. I smashed it off the backboard. I didn't score. And to this day, I know that I'm not in the stats, but that would have been that was an incredible moment to play where so many great athletes had played, and watching them over the years and having that experience, it was unbelievable. So yeah, that was. And by the way, when I got on the team, the record was 13-2, and at the end of the year we were 14-16 or something like that. So we only won one game, and I think we beat Stanford up here. I think it was the last game of the year.
So you're real happy I brought this up.
Yeah.
On a more serious note, you've been outspoken in your support for more efforts on player safety in the NFL. And the NFL's been in the news a lot lately, and that's one of the areas where they've been in the news. I think what I'm interested in, what the audience is interested in hearing is, I think the defensive award is called the Impact Award, and you were known as one of the hardest hitters. What would Ronnie Lott, the player, think about everything that's going on with concussions and the new rules?
Well, Ronnie Lott, the player, would understand that there are things that we have to do. And one of the things that I think that I would encourage all kids and all of us to continue to learn how to learn. You know, one of the great opportunities that I had is I had a coach one time tell me that if he had to do one thing all over again, that he would learn how to learn. He would learn his players. He would learn how to get better. He would learn how to find himself at least trying to accentuate himself where he could be a greater coach. And for me, that's how I see myself. And so if I was playing today and I was playing under the rules and understanding all the things that come along with the sport today, I would learn how to play the game the way that you should play the game. I would learn how to keep my head out of the situation of tackling. I would learn how to do that because I know that my mother would not allow me to lose $50,000, right? And I know for a lot of you out there, I don't understand how you could play in the NFL and say that you can lose $50,000 and be okay with it. I don't get that. I don't, you know, and I've heard that a lot of guys will say to the fans and to all of us, well, it's okay because that's who I am. No, that tells me that you're not a professional. A professional is a person who evolves. A professional is a person who gets better. And I think that if I was playing today, even though the rules changed recently, that I would evolve, I would get better. And we see a lot of great players play the game that played like I did 5 years ago that are now changing and playing within the guidelines of the rules.
And is that going to filter down? Is that going to filter down to the colleges and probably more importantly the high schools?
Yeah, I think it's filtering down quickly. I think you're starting to see the NFL trying to take stances on trying to create an environment where kids are learning how to tackle differently. I know that Pete Carroll recently did a video where he is teaching guys how to tackle differently. The Seahawks have a different way of how they tackle. You see the USA football, they have a program that they put in place where it's called Heads Up. They're teaching kids how to tackle differently. So I think you got to start from the bottom and you got to work with the young kids. At the same time, you got to do it with the NFL and you have to do it with college football. And we're seeing it in college football now where you're ejected from the game if it's a targeting hit. You're seeing it in the high school level where you're seeing guys that are getting ejected if it's a targeted hit. I think all of this leads to us hopefully continuing to play the game of football. I think it's a great sport. It's a sport that a lot of fans love. You know, to me, it's one of the greatest sports because one of the things that I think that we don't do enough of is really appreciate how to be a man. And I think when you become a man, you learn certain skill sets. and you learn certain skill sets by working with other men. And one of the great books is a buddy of mine who wrote this book around the idea of teaching young men how to love each other. And we don't do that, you know. And obviously we're starting to see that our moral compass getting off track. And so I think we need to understand that there are other qualities that come out of the game other than just hitting somebody. That you do care and that you do love and you do get to serve and you do get to help. And I know that football it's just an incredible sport, and there are so many things that you get out of the sport of being around, you know, incredible people.
Is that Joe Ehrman?
Yes.
Joe Ehrman, yeah.
Joe Ehrman is, as you know, is an incredible human being, and the book is centered around teaching young men that power is not what you want. Love is what you want in life, and you shouldn't want conquest. You shouldn't want to aspire to have monies. You should want to love a human being. You should want to serve a human being, and he's teaching his kids in Baltimore those qualities, and he does a great job of not only teaching them these qualities, but he also does an incredible exercise where he asks each of the young men to write down what is your tablet, what is it going to say, what is your tombstone, what's on it, and what are you going to represent, and I think all of us right now, if we had to go out and do that, what would it say? And I hope, you know, that my kids, it would say certain things that were beyond the game of football. And so I think that those kids are trying to get all of us to understand that, man, you have to have something more than the game of football in your life.
When that day comes for you, and that's a long way off, that's going to be a big tombstone. There's a lot to write on you there, I can tell you that.
Well, I will tell you this, you know, the one thing that you try to do every day is get respect. And if you got to earn it, tonight is a prime example of trying to earn it. I'm indebted to being associated with this school for a host of reasons, but I'm clearly trying to earn the respect of this university.
Ronnie, do you think the NFL should do more to help players who've already been diagnosed with traumatic head injuries?
Yes, they should. I think one of the challenges, though, is that there are other guys that have played the game that were guys who played before the 80s and guys who played before the 70s. And so when I see Joe the Jet Perry, who was a great football player, and I ran into his wife, and when I ran into her, you know, right away we connected. Well, we connected because her husband's gone, and they didn't provide medicines for him. And you know, you think about some of the great heroes of this game that don't have access to the resources that keep them living a healthy life. So not only should they take care of people who deal with head injuries or who have had, you know, consequences of dealing with, you know, various pains around head injuries, they also should take care of guys who are guys who just want to have a quality of life that allows them to continue to participate in living. And the NFL hasn't stepped up to do that yet.
And speaking of the NFL, you've been in the news a lot lately, and I'd like to hear your thoughts on what the NFL or individual teams should do. What is their responsibility in punishing players for transgressions in their personal life or with the law?
That's a great question. I mean, you know, I've been asked this question a number of times. You know, in our family, in the Lott household, and a lot of things that we do, there are certain consequences, and those consequences are things that you have to deal with. When I was growing up, My dad was in the military. There are consequences, and you have to adhere to those consequences. The 49ers and other teams have consequences set up. In this case, it feels like there were certain things that they decided to allow the courts to handle. I believe that there's a code of respect around life, and I would tell you that I think that they could have taken another path, and they could have chosen another path. But it's their organization. They run it the way that they deem appropriate, and so you gotta adhere to how they're running it. And yet I think that and I just know I just met Mr. Hallball this past week, and I met his dad, and something tells me that his dad, being the coach that he is, being around Bo Schembechler, those kind of coaches didn't allow you to do certain things. And they had certain guidelines, and they would have admonished that person for doing something that could hurt another individual.
Yeah, I think a lot of us feel, there needs to be more. Exactly how to do it is the confusing part. And I think Coach Harbaugh, I think certainly is under the gun a little bit right now on some of the things that have gone on. And I think we can all appreciate the difficult situation that he's in. With the NFL viewership is at an all-time high. Money is at an all-time high. Having said that, Pop Warner numbers are dropping. Young people are not participating in football as they once did. If a friend of yours asked about whether their child should get involved in football, how would you advise them?
Well, first of all, my kids are here, and my son played at St. Francis and played Pop Warner, and he started in the 8th. I think he was in the 8th grade. Did not play Pee Wee football. Didn't start at 10. I think his mother didn't want him to start at 10. I would be the first one to tell you that that comes down to a decision of what your kid is willing to do, and it comes down to a decision where I think that young man should be equipped to know the consequences of playing the game. I do all understand this, and I really believe this because I see it all the time, whether it's in soccer or any other sport, that there are going to be moments where you're going to have an injury. And as you know, in soccer or in any other sport, it's hard to tell a kid at 10 years old, what happened. And, you can get your bell rung. You doing a header, you can get your bell rung. Playing football, I try to tell parents, one, think about your kid and think about, is he ready to play? Is he physically ready to play? Two, get the right helmet. Get the right helmet. I went to, last week I was at Rydell, the helmet company. They brought me in to look at their new equipment, and it was interesting to see the helmet that I wore many years, many moons ago, and the new helmet, and the new helmet is spectacular. But it was because of the fans and because of the people out there that said, we need to change this. And so I think companies like Rydell and other helmet companies are taking the stand of making products better and putting more innovation around the product. And I think that's going to continue to evolve. It should. And quite frankly, I think we're going to see that in all sports, that we're going to find ways to protect our young people.
Certainly concussions are a big deal in our sport of soccer, and we're doing a lot, and we have a lot of discussion on how to make that a better situation for our youngsters. Should the Washington Redskins change their name?
It's interesting that you asked me that question, and I grew up and I lived in Washington, D.C., and my first moments of being in Washington, D.C., I think I was about 5 or 6 years old when we moved there. And I had a Redskin helmet. I had a plastic Redskin helmet that had a feather, that came up right up the middle. I love that helmet. But I also, I do know this, is that anytime someone feels that they're neglected, anytime that someone feels that they're being slighted or being discriminated against, to me, I think we have to take a stand as a country. And that's what this country is all about. If somebody decides that I'm not right and it doesn't feel right, and for us not to jump on the bandwagon to say, you know what, that community believes that it's not right. And so for me, it's hard because my uncle is married to an Indian. And I'm positive that if she felt the way that she felt about the feelings of other Indian folks that feel the way that they feel, no, it's a no. I mean, that's our country, and that's what we do. We try to find a way to do the right things at the right time. And so at this time, I would say no. I would be one of the fans out there, along with all the other fans that are saying they have to change the name.
Back to the college game. As you know, Northwestern University football team recently voted to unionize. And UCLA basketball player Ed O'Bannon won a case against the NCAA in which he claimed he should be compensated for the use of his image in the UCLA uniform. Where do you come down on these issues?
Yeah, this is a very difficult question. And the reason it's a difficult question is, think about a young person getting a scholarship here. And, right now, when you think of sports, the dynamics of college sports is changing. It's changing because you have more monies being put into college sports. The question is, where is the equality, and where is the equality, and where is the opportunity to correct it? And I'm not sure exactly where it is, but I will tell you that they have to figure it out, because when you do see at my university, the other SC, when you look at the other SC and you see that they went from having $5 million or $6 million allocated for football, and now it's generating $30 million because of a TV contract, and every school in the Pac-12 is generating $30 million. Somewhere we have to be able to provide something to allow these kids to have scholarships that are post-scholarships. Maybe it's providing them insurance that if they do get hurt, that they're taken care of. Maybe it's providing them other things that can allow them to continue to have a quality of life. That's what I'd like to see happen. I know people are working in that direction. In terms of paying players just to pay them, I don't know if that's the right thing to do. I would argue that coming out the league, when I came out the league, making $300 grand, I mean, I was the 8th player chosen. I made $300 grand, and I was sitting there going, I can't believe I made that much money. That's a lot different today, because the 8th player chosen today is probably making $10 million, right? And so is there a way to protect him from not losing it all? Maybe there are ways that you can help him. There are things that the NCAA can do to help these guys get ready for the real world. And I know that, again, I know as a coach, you guys are looking into these looking into these ways of trying to help these guys make better decisions with their monies, better decisions as they leave the sport. And so I would imagine that we're going to start to see guys have better rules and better regulatory issues around all of it.
Yeah, and we hope that this leads to increased quality of student-athlete welfare, and there are a lot of ways to do that, and I think we've got to do a better job of trying to figure out how to do that. I agree with you. What advice would you have for student-athletes today? It's a different world, as you talked about. Student-athletes, have a lot of challenges for sure these days, and it's different from when you were in college. What advice do you have for the student-athletes today?
Well, the thing that I think that's really interesting to me about the student athlete today, and I see a lot of them, and I've been around a lot of them, the distractions and the things that they have to deal with each and every day is amazing. I couldn't imagine having to be able to manage social media, able to manage my relationships, able to manage my schoolings, being able to manage my relationships of friends. There's a lot to manage, and I think one of the things is that, first of all, just be a kid. Be a kid and have fun. I mean, don't allow yourself to succumb to the fact that this is a job. Enjoy it. Go out and play as hard as you can. I met a young lady here in the library a couple of weeks ago at the symposium, the sports law symposium, and she said to me, she goes, the best thing that happened to me was going to school here. I said, really? She goes, yeah, Ronnie, it was the best. Now, I had a tough time playing volleyball. I said, so tell me more. She goes, well, I had a tough time playing volleyball because it was really hard. But when I look back, the relationships, the people I've met, the fact that I got the fact that I got my degree from Santa Clara University, and you could just see her beaming. And to me, I hope my kids, I hope my kids are beaming just like she was, that this is what it should be all about. She should want to have, or our kids should want to have that quest of getting a degree, being proud of that degree, but more importantly, having a lot of fun and enjoying the college atmosphere.
Great advice.
Yesterday I was in North Carolina, and I was sitting there in North Carolina, and I met a coach, and he had a stroke. And we were sitting there talking, and as we were talking, he said, man, this is amazing. I'm fighting. I'm competing. I'm just trying to get back. And you could see the twinkle in his eye. And he goes, I hope that these kids don't take it for granted. I hope that they enjoy each and every moment. And it made me realize that a lot of things in our lives, you got to celebrate them. You got to enjoy it. You got to have fun with it. And again, just knowing what I know and seeing this man who had been coaching for years and years and years, still fighting and still knowing that he has that ability to change his life. That's what sports teaches all of us, that you can fall down and you can get back up, that you can survive any quest in life. Any quest in life, you can survive it. And so it was great to be around this person who didn't know that he was teaching me an incredible lesson yesterday.
And it sounds like to me that one of your main messages here for the student athletes is, stay in the present. I think so many times the student athletes are you're constantly planning for the future, and if you constantly plan for the future, you're not enjoying the present. So I think that's a great message.
Yeah, it's really hard to stay in the present when you got so much in front of you, and yet right in front of you there are some incredible, great nuggets that are happening right in front of you.
You're a new member of SCU's Board of Regents. You're a member of the Jerry Smith Coaching for Life Advisory Board. Why Santa Clara?
It's SC. You know, I used to come over here, play basketball. I used to see Carol Williams, who I mentioned. I used to see some incredible athletes, you know, Brent Jones and others that played. I used to see my buddy Isaac Vaughn, and I would see all these guys, and you know, it's fascinating to me, the character of the people that have come out of this university. And I could point to my friends at DEF CON, and I could point to some other folks that I've met over the years. And what I will say is that the compassion exists. And in sport, supposedly you're not supposed to have that.
Right.
You're supposed to be a tough guy.
Right.
You're supposed to be a guy that, you know, everything's all or nothing. And in life, that's not true. When I cry because I lost my friend to ALS, it hurt. And it hurt because everybody knows that when you go through what he went through, and he was an incredible athlete, but he'll tell you, you got to stand for something. And so for me, I look and realize that, man, there are a lot of other things, other qualities that you have to stand for. And in this school, at this university, you see those qualities being exhibited every day. Every day. And I've seen it throughout the valley, and I'm so excited to be associated with it. I know I'm going to be a better human being because I'm associated with it. And so for all of you, thanks for adopting me. But yeah, it's a special place. It's a special place for a lot of reasons. And I'm grateful that our kids are going to school here. But I'm grateful for all the relationships and people that I've met over the years. You know, Bill Walsh would talk about the qualities of people, again, of why you want to be around certain individuals that are champions. And he would identify those people. And a lot of those people were guys that I still admire today that exhibit the same qualities that this school has.
The legend of Pat Malley lives on here at Santa Clara.
Yes. It does. It does. You know, our you know, Bill McPherson, who was a longtime coach for the 49ers, you know, spoke very highly of his affiliation and being around this program, and just there's some great coaches that have been associated with Santa Clara over the years, and for a lot of reasons, there are some special people. I bump into them occasionally.
Last week we had theologian and social gadfly Dr. Cornel West on campus. He talked about his passion to keep alive the legacy of Martin Luther King. He bemoaned the lack of present-day African-American leaders with the courage to speak truth to power. Who do you think of as present-day African-American heroes?
Well, this is a really easy answer for me. I've had the good fortunes of being around Condoleezza Rice a number of times. And I've seen her where she has spoken at an all-star banquet. I've seen her where she has spoken at a prayer breakfast. And I've seen her play golf with me, and I've seen her take me out playing golf. But as we were playing golf, I'll never forget it, because I said, you got to tell me, who's the toughest guy? And I wanted to know who the toughest guy. I just wanted, and she goes, Gaddafi. And when she said it, right, for me, you know, imagine her looking at you saying that. And what I would tell you is that she had the steel of Dick Butkus. You know, she had the character of any champion that's ever played the game of football. And what I would tell you is that that's who I want in front of me. That's what I want as a hero. That's what I want as a person that can be a leader of this country. And so I know that she's taken a back step, and she's sitting on the college football committee right now and probably enjoying that. But she is definitely a hero for a host of reasons. If you know her background, and for all of you guys, if you can, you should take a look at her background, take a look at who she is and why she is who she is. Because I think you'll learn a lot about an incredible human being and an incredible person.
Her name's been, in some circles, passed around as a possible NFL commissioner. Could she do that job?
Well, she could do that job.
If she could take on Gaddafi?
I promise you right now, things would have changed. Because, and it's simple. It's simple. And I know this because I believe in Roger. Just so everybody knows, I'm on record. I believe in Roger Goodell. I believe that right now, what Roger has seen and what has happened is that the compass of sport, all sports, this is for every commissioner, they should all band together. And they should say, we're going to reassess where we are today. And we're going to change the moral compass because we want our society to reflect what we think. And if they did that, baseball, basketball, football, think of what it would do. Think of what it would say for all of us, that they take that stance, and not only take the stance, but create an environment where it reflects what my daughter should want it to reflect. It reflects what someone that's an Indian who watches sports, or someone who is gay, or someone who has a different belief. Change the compass. Change the compass. And it's time that we need to start changing the compass. It's hard. It's hard because the compass has been off for such a long time. It's been off for such a long time. And yet we got to catch it up. I mean, we got to catch our compass and get it back to where it should be. And it should be a leader. It should be a leader because, again, just knowing what I know, imagine teaching kids how to get along with everyone. How to get along with everyone. That's a great quality to have. And I know that if we started that with the youth leagues, that would teach kids tolerance. And those are things that we need to get in the forefront of our lives.
No pun intended here, but I realize I've dropped the ball on one of my important responsibilities here, which was to, at the beginning of this, announce that we could take questions from the audience through some cards that have been written. And so I'm going to ask one more question. I'm not sure where we are on the cards with the questions, but my final question before we take some questions from the audience here, and this wasn't on my list of questions, but I had a conversation recently with Kevin Johnson, who is, of course, the mayor of Sacramento. And Kevin and I had a conversation because he's trying to bring a Major League Soccer franchise to Sacramento. And during my conversation with Kevin, I couldn't help but think about someone else that might be a good mayor. And my question, Ronnie, is have you ever thought about it?
No, I haven't. No. You know why I haven't? I'll tell you why I haven't. And I've known Kevin since he was 17, 18 years old. I've known Kevin for a long time. An incredible human being. An incredible human being, and will continue to be a leader, not only for Sacramento, but a leader for this country. We're indebted to his service. I had the good fortunes of one day spending time with Willie Brown, the great politician. And the legendary politician. And Willie shared with me one day about his efforts of being a great politician. He goes, if you're going to play my sport, Ronnie, if you're going to play my sport, you better learn the rules of engagement. And I said, well, Willie, what are those rules of engagement? He goes, I got a book for you, and the book that I have, I don't know if I can teach you in a year. It's going to take many years to be as good as me. And so I realized at that moment, because as we all know, when you're in a quest of mayoring a city or in the quest of serving whoever you're serving, you want to be great at it. You want to be great. You don't want to be average. And I don't want to be average. And so to get in that battle, you got to be great. And it would be a long quest for me to be able to climb the hill to be as good as Kevin. Kevin is an exceptional human being, and I've spent a lot of time with Kevin here in the last year. And what Kevin has done and how he's created an environment at his church, he has taken on an incredible effort of saying, I got to find a way to change the model of economics in my community. And his foresight and his imagination is doing just that. Today I heard the same thing here at this university of some of the resources that are being now allocated to certain parts of San Jose. You got to have an imagination to be able to implement something like that and to be able to get people to rally around that cause. And but it takes leadership, and it was great to hear the school is taking on that initiative. It's great to hear that they're thinking beyond 2020, that this school is going to be a reflection of our society by helping others and lifting them up to see success. So it was great hearing that today, and I'm looking forward to tomorrow.
Politics hasn't banned the chop block.
Yeah, that's about where it's at right now.
Yeah. Might take some harder hits. Question from the audience is, what's the hardest thing about being a safety? What's the hardest thing about being a father?
What's the hardest thing about being a safety? The hardest thing about being a safety to me is that every time you play a game, and I just saw this guy walking around, so as a safety, you see things.
Watch out.
So you have to have peripheral vision, and I'm accustomed to watching and looking at a lot of things, and I'm observing all of you, all of you. And the great thing about being a safety is that you get that ability to see that and to watch that, The other aspect that I would tell you that's a great thing about playing safety is, for me, I wanted to be a quarterback. I just never had an arm. And
And I wanted to be a football player.
and I think what's fascinating is that when I would practice against Montana, and we would go in a 2-minute situation. In a 2-minute situation, it's him against me. And I used to love that. I didn't win a lot, but I used to love it. And so the ability to quarterback a situation or be involved where you can direct people or create an environment of surprise was a lot of fun. But yeah, safety, being a safety and seeing everything, and then being a dad is, being a dad is an incredible, to me, it's tougher than football.
Amen, brother.
But what's great about it is that, man, there is nothing greater than the love that you have with your family. And all of us, we're going to celebrate Christmas. You're going to celebrate Thanksgiving. But celebrate it. I mean, I'm talking about celebrate it. Spend time. What I love about our Thanksgiving, we do the same thing. And I can't wait. Because I know I'm going to, this year we're not going to do Thanksgiving because the Niners are playing the Seahawks. So
Kind of a big game.
it's kind of a big game. And by the way, I think we're going to roast some Hawks.
Oh.
But I think one of the great things about being a dad is that you got to find yourself, maximizing your love. That's the one thing that, that I don't realize the capacity of how much I can give of that. And as a dad, sometimes you get frustrated because you see that some days you need to give even more. And that's not easy for men. It's not easy for men to just dial it up, to dial up love. And so I know that that's one of the things that that's a muscle that I have to continue to work on and continue to strive to have. And I know that, that is my quest in life, is I want to exhaust that. I want to exhaust giving these guys as much love as possible.
Another question from the audience here is, what is your opinion on how the 49ers are handling the McDonald's situation?
I've stated this already, that I think that it was not the correct way to handle that situation. The reason I thought it was not the correct way is that we have guidelines at our house. We have guidelines in life that you have to adhere to. And when you have a situation where somebody is taken to jail, even though he's not guilty, there are situations that I believe that there are rules in our house. There are rules and things that you have to abide by. Those are consequences that you have to live with, that you have to deal with. So I believe, and I've seen it where it's happened. And I would tell you that those are things that we all live with. You got to live with it. And you're going to see, I think the 49ers will eventually find a guideline and a zenith of that's how we're going to do it. We're not going to change. And I think Jed and Prague and that organization will find guidelines. I at least hope that they will find guidelines because people are asking them to do that. I do know that they have, the other day I went and spoke to these kids in East San Jose. Carl Gardino put together a leadership program for young boys. If young boys don't hear that the 49ers are taking a stance on those issues, then who's going to take the stance for them? And so they have to. Larry Bear from the Giants gave me a pin, said, respect violence. He goes, we're working on it. We do it. So I think that, those situations are situations that we have to change our moral compass. I believe the 49ers will get there at some point, and I believe that sport will get there at some point. And I think it's going to be here very soon. I really, truly believe that we're going to see a lot of changes in all sports, and I think it's going to help our society deal with some of the issues that we're dealing with.
Ronnie, as a kid, did you dream of becoming a professional athlete? And if so, who were some of your motivation?
When I was a kid, I was a Redskin fan. The reason I wear 42, I love Charlie Taylor and Paul Warfield. Everybody thinks that I wore 42 because of Jackie Robinson. I wore 42 because of those two guys. They probably wore 42 because of Jackie Robinson, though. But when I look back, growing up, my dad, and I'm looking at my shoes right now, my dad would be disappointed at my shoes right now because I had to shine his shoes. And
Air Force?
And he was Air Force. He was in Air Force, and I had to shine them, and they had to be polished, and I had to shine his belt buckle. And I loved his uniform. I loved the way he looked. I loved what he stood for. I loved everything about how he carried himself. So I was going to go and when I went to Eisenhower High School, I went there thinking that I was going to go to the Air Force Academy, and that I was headed to the academy, and I would go there and follow in my dad's footsteps. That's where I was headed. I didn't know that, and this is a true story, I didn't know that I was going to get a scholarship. The funny thing is, I got a letter from Nebraska my sophomore year. I couldn't believe that I got a letter, and I wasn't really sure what it was all about. But that was the start of somebody saying, hey, you got a shot, that you can get a college scholarship. I didn't think that I would play pro football until my junior year, when they said, you might have a shot. You might have a shot at playing. I was like, really? They were like, yeah, you might have a shot at playing pro football. So I never really sat around dreaming that I was going to be a professional athlete. What I do know as a kid is that, man, I had a burning desire to play hard. I really had a burning desire to play hard. And that was something that I used to just watch my dad play, and my dad played hard when he played basketball. And I used to watch him in the Air Force at the Air Force gym, go out and compete and shoot, and I used to go out there, and I was I was a little ball boy and towel boy, and so I did all those things. But I used to love how those guys competed, and they played hard. They played very hard to win. And so, yeah, but I didn't have that dream of playing professional sports.
It says here that earlier you talked about the guys you played with and how they served others. Can you talk more about what you meant and include some examples of some of the guys you played with and how they served others?
The great story for me was that Bubba Parrish, who was the first big 300-pounder, Bill Walsh wanted him to stay under 300 pounds, and Bubba had a tough time staying under 300 pounds, and so they were going to give him a TV if he stayed under 300 pounds, and they were going to give him a big screen TV, and Bubba, it was like week 13, I think it was week 13. He was doing fantastic. And Bob McKittrick would weigh him, and I happened to be by the scale when he was getting ready to weigh him. And he steps on the scale, and he gets on the scale, and it's 275. But Bob McKittrick sees that he's leaning next to the Coke machine. So he's leaning next to the Coke machine, and so Bob said, "Hey, can you get back on the scale?" So Bubba gets back on the scale, and he leans next to the Coke machine. It goes to 275. Bob says, "Hey, can you lean off the Coke machine?" It goes up beyond 300 pounds. The next day, Bill Walsh had heard the story and came in and said, "Okay, got a team meeting." And he came in and said, "Guys, he's not going to get the TV, and I'm going to fine him." And everybody was, stunned and, upset. And Joe stood up, said, "I got it. I'm buying a TV. And not only am I buying a TV, I don't want anybody to mess with him." E.F. Hutton talked. We listened. Yeah. And when he said that, I realized that it's the guy who you never would think would have his back. And the guy that everybody would say is an incredible quarterback, but was an incredible leader because he demonstrated that at that time, I'm going to take care of this situation. And he easily could have said, "I'm going to let this one go." But that was a great moment to see a guy have character in a situation where clearly Bubba was not feeling good and the team was not feeling good about that situation. But those moments like that for me are great moments. Or the other guy that I would tell you is, and I think is one of the all-time hard workers, was we had a guy that played, Sanjay Beach. Sanjay Beach never got on the field. Sanjay Beach came to practice every day and worked his tail off, to the point that on Thursdays, after practice, everybody would say, "Where are we going today?" "We're all going to the beach." And we would always say that was because we were paying our respects to the guy who never got on the field all year long, but was the hardest working individual on our team. So you had examples like that of two people, one who never played, one who played all the time, but showing what it would be like to be a great teammate and a great individual and serving another human being.
But I guess Bubba didn't give up many sacks that year.
No, he did not give up a lot of sacks. And we went on to win the Super Bowl.
Is Richard Sherman the best cornerback in the game?
Is Richard Sherman the best cornerback in the game? The one thing that if he believes it,
I think he does.
Yeah, if he believes it, I can't disagree. But I will say this, and because that position is, I played out there.
You would know.
And there were moments that I felt like that. There were moments that when you're out there by yourself, and you have guys that are way faster than you, and you have guys that are stronger than you, and you got Jerry Rice and you're trying to cover Jerry Rice, you better believe you're the best.
Yeah.
Because if you don't believe you're the best, you're going to get beat. You're going to get beat. So that position, of all positions on the football field, you have to believe you're the best. Now, do I believe that he's the best? Again, I don't know if he's the best. I mean, I measure, one of the things that I try not to do is, and you'll appreciate this, when I started announcing on TV, I would say, oh, that guy is great. And the guy in my ear would say, he's good. It's like, what do you mean he's good? He's great. He goes, no, he's good. And I said, well, why are you telling me he's good? I mean, why are you telling me he's just good? And he goes, Ronnie, the reason that he's just good, to be great, you have to do it 10 years. Mm. So we'll revisit this 10 years from now. And so that's what you got to look at. And to me, when I heard that, it is so true. You can be great for 1 year. You can be great for 1 year. But what does that mean? The quest in life is to be the greatest of all time. And my roommate, Marcus Allen, and I, man, I tell you, he'll tell you, that's all we cared about, is when you play, you better be the best. Now, when I tried to hit him as a rookie, I tried to kill him because I loved him that much.
I'm just trying to make you better.
Yeah, I'm just trying to make him better. Yeah, no, but yeah, I don't know if he's the best. He's good. He's in the top. He's in the top 3 corners, and arguably is probably the best corner in football right now.
Yeah, I know the best cornerback of all time in the NFL, and we're sitting with him.
Thank you. Thank you.
This is going to be our last question here. You once said Jerry Rice was the James Brown of football. So what musician or showbiz phenom are you?
Wow. Yeah, I never looked at it that way. The reason I said that about Jerry Rice, I have never met a human being that worked harder at anything than he did for his profession. For an individual to ask him and say to him, Jerry, didn't you play the perfect game? And Jerry looked at me and said, I've never played the perfect game. That was my quest in life. I really wanted to play the perfect game. I think one of the fascinating lessons about that is that you think about how hard he worked and all the things that he was trying to accomplish, and he was having fun just doing just that. And when I look at myself, I'm probably a roadie. And the reason I'm probably a roadie because I could help set up the band, or I was probably a pip, it definitely was not Gladys Knight, but I was a pip, I could. But that's. But being a pip, there's a lot of responsibility. And so we all have, people that, and I love bands because I love music. And there is something about the guy who was sitting there playing the drums, and he's just, and I remember seeing Prince. I remember seeing Prince when I was 21 years old. I'll never forget that when he walked out, I said, man, that guy is phenomenal. He was phenomenal. But the band, they were awesome. You know, but it goes to show you, and he would tell you that all of the people around him compliment who he is, and it's allowed him to be as great as he is. And but yeah, I'm in that Pip category.
Your humbleness is remarkable, and I think we all appreciate that. And we appreciate spending the evening with us here tonight and sharing your insights and answering some tough questions. And we really appreciate everything you're doing for Santa Clara University and for our community. We're with one of the legends of football and one of the legends of life here tonight, number 42, Ronnie Lott.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Gary? Can you do that? Thank you very much, Ronnie Lott. Thank you very much for your presentation, and you make more than a great Pip. I really have to say that. Having met Gladys tonight, I know she'd love to have you, so on the part of her team. We have a small gift for you as a memento from Santa Clara, and we'd like to present that to you and actually let you put it on, okay? They've got this thing all tied up.
Thank you very much.
You got it. Excellent. Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Okay. Thank you
Thank you
again.
very much. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you.